Our next step in the UV unwrapping is for our organic model. Okay, for that I have this dress from Lisa, and I isolated only the dress because we don't really need the environment for this. And you can see that it started from a cube. That's why these ones are quite clear, and also the ones in the top, and everything else feels stretched. Okay, it keeps the mapping from that cube. So the first thing I do is mapping clear. Now I don't see a thing, but because it doesn't know how to project it. Now I'm going to add a UV unwrap. So the UV unwrap by default is going to apply a planar map. And if I open my UV editor and select every single polygon, actually just double click, okay, I actually see this map that is applying. This green line here on the top is my map scenes, okay. I'm just gonna uncheck them because they are not really gonna affect how this is unwrapping. And I can see my map here by just opening it. That's how I know that the middle of my dress is between A4 and A5, or in this case E4 and E5, which is here. And the way we're going to do this is not like before. In the case before, we added the seams and then we unpeel it. But here I'm going to do it in the peel mode, which is once I click on it, it's going to stay activated. Okay. So in this way, it's going to try to unfold it, but right now it doesn't know how to. That's why it's opening more here. Okay, and it's going to start unfolding it the more I add seams. So it is a good advice to do it in this area distortion, because I can see where it's more distorted. For example, it's opening a lot more, stretching a lot more here in the arms, and pinching the mesh a lot in the center, okay? And you'll see what happens once I start to put some seams. In this peel mode, if you click on an edge, it's automatically going to convert it into a seam, okay? I already know this model, so I know that by clicking here, I'm selecting the loop I need. Okay, so it goes all the way in here, the same in the other side. Okay, and now it's already quite properly open. I'm going to select another click here to cut the arms off. And what I'm trying is to get as much desaturated as possible, okay? I'm gonna just click these ones here. Okay, and I might want to do it inside here, but to be honest, you have the arm coming out there, so you probably won't even see what's going there, and you won't have much detail there, so it's quite okay. In a cloth, I might have seams here, but I actually have a map opening quite nicely, so I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so this was a very simple model. So now I'm going to go back to one of these checker textures. So let's say I take my shell and I have distorted it a little bit. I have it out of my map. In order to move anything here, take out the peel mode. Otherwise, it's gonna, if I try to move it, it's gonna distort everything, okay? So peel mode out, and then I'm gonna move it out of my tile. The same with this one. Okay, and let's say this is smaller, so it's a mess and I want everything back to how it should be proportionally. So I click here on Rescale Element. Sorry, I have to select everything first, and now Rescale Element, and it makes it proportionally like it should be. And then I don't want to go figuring out how to fit it better in this style, so I just put Pack Custom, and it's gonna find a way to pack it there in the best way. Okay, sometimes it's not really it. You can put pack together, pack normalize. It really depends on what you are looking for. So just to go over one more tool in creating seams, even though we don't need it for this model, it's the point-to-point tool. And this basically creates seams from the first point and creates a shorter path, the shortest path possible to the next seam I click, okay? In this dress, it really makes no sense for me to do that. but just so that you see what's happening, okay? And like I did here before, by double clicking in a polygon selects the whole patch. If I want to do that in my scene, I have to select it here. So I have a polygon. Okay, and I have to click expand polygon selections to seams. And then selects the whole polygon all the way to where the seams are defined. So now let's say I'm happy with this and I just want to save it to be on the safe side. So I do it here on the channel, or I can do it in the UV editor and save UV. So I'm going to call it dress UV. And if I go and erase this UV and wrap, okay, add a new one and then load my dress UV, it's going to be perfectly mapped. I can open my UV editor and it would look exactly like I had it before. Okay, and now let's say I want to take this into Photoshop and paint on top of it. So I go to Tools, Render UV Template, okay, and by default it comes in mode nodes. So if I render, I just see the edges. But let's say I put it in solid, which is one I like more. And then I have the whole patch and the edges. Okay, and I can just save it as any format I want here. Any format I want here. I actually did it before and then I start painting with it. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is that I also have the map channels here, and I also have some other options. For example, you see here you have this little X square. That means it's pinned. That means that it's considering that from this point to this point, the mesh is not going to expand more, and the same here. Okay, and those are here. So I can just take that one, go to vertex, take that one, and erase it. And then make all this vertex pinned down. So that if I create, if I do another quick peel or anything, it's going to keep those steady. Okay. You also have other options here to make your to break a mesh, to stitch them together. So for example, if I would take this side, okay, it shows me where it would stitch it, so I can just stitch it and it puts it like that. I have different ways to stitch it to target, okay, stitch it to source, and custom stitch it, so I can actually tell it how I want it to stitch it. So it asked me up here how to do it. I'm just going to click OK, and it basically put the whole mesh together. I'm just going to go back